There's obviously no shortage of criticism on the internet, and sometimes that criticism takes place on a website using a domain name that consists of a company's name plus a pejorative word. But not all such domain names are protected as so-called gripe sites, which is exactly what happened in the case I'm talking about today for the domain name fuckpriceline.com. Hi, it's Doug Isenberg. We all know that trademark owners certainly attract plenty of criticism online. Although genuine criticism is often protected under various doctrines of free speech, including the First Amendment here in the United States, trademark owners can sometimes use the UDRP, or Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy, to shut down some of these websites. Here's what happened in the Priceline case, according to a February 2021 decision from WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization. The complaint was filed by Priceline, which has been an online travel booking service for more than 20 years, and uses the domain name Priceline.com for itself. The UDRP decision says that Priceline has sold 100 million airplane tickets since 1997 and books an average of 2.5 million hotel room nights every month. The decision also says that Priceline owns a registration for the Priceline trademark in numerous jurisdictions, including one that was registered in the United States in 1999 for use in connection with travel agency services. As a result, the panelist in the case said that he had no difficulty characterizing Priceline as a well-known trademark in the United States. Now, the disputed domain name in this case, fuckpriceline.com, was registered on November 14, 2020, and the decision said that it resolved to a parking page with links to various third-party commercial websites, including other travel booking services in direct competition with Priceline. This is a screenshot of the website that was captured shortly after the decision was published. Now, there's a long history of decisions under the UDRP that address the intersection of trademark rights and free speech, especially when someone uses a domain name to create a website criticizing a trademark owner. And when a domain name contains a trademark plus a pejorative word, such as sucks, which is not uncommon, or even the F word, as happened in the Priceline case, it raises some interesting issues with respect to all three parts of the UDRP's test. So here's how the panelists addressed these issues in the Priceline case. First, with respect to whether the fuckpriceline.com domain name was confusingly similar to the Priceline trademark, the panel quoted the WIPO overview, which says, where the relevant trademark is recognizable within the disputed domain name, the addition of other terms, whether descriptive, geographical, pejorative, meaningless, or otherwise, would not prevent a finding of confusing similarity under the first element. As a result, the panelist found that the domain name was indeed confusingly similar to the Priceline trademark, despite the addition of the F word to the domain name. Second, with respect to rights or legitimate interests, the panelists noted that the registrant of the domain name was a disgruntled Priceline customer with some sort of axe to grind. But the panelist also said that the registrant had not explained any legitimate basis on which he registered the domain name. Specifically, here's what the decision says. The failure of respondent to actually use the domain name for criticism purposes, or to even advance any indication of his plans for the same, coupled with respondent's remark that he would be willing to sell the domain name to complainant at a price that would allow him to recoup the money that, according to respondent, complainant somehow owes him, supports the panel's conclusion that respondent did not register the domain name to air his grievances about complainant, but instead as some sort of leverage against complainant to recoup what he claims is owed to him, and therefore, under the narrow terms of the policy, complainant has established policy paragraph 4A2. And finally, third, on the bad faith element of the UDRP, the panelist apparently found it very important that the domain name, fuckpriceline.com, was not actually being used to criticize Priceline, but instead was being used in connection with a so-called parking page that simply offered links to Priceline's competitors. Here's what the panelist wrote on this point. As the panel sees it, there are two issues here: potential criticism and potential monies owed. There is nothing wrong with criticizing complainant, including within certain parameters through a domain name incorporating its mark with a pejorative word. And equally, there is nothing wrong with seeking to be made whole for a grievance against complainant, which is, the best the panel can tell from the limited record, some form of contractual dispute. But using the domain name in a pretextual manner to seek to accomplish the latter cannot be condoned. In other words, if the domain name registrant wanted to criticize Priceline, it was not using the domain name for that purpose. So any defenses related to free speech simply did not apply in this case. Now, nobody likes to be criticized, but any successful company will always have its critics. And the internet has obviously given every customer a tremendous platform. Of course, sometimes criticism is warranted, and sometimes it's not. And not every dispute will be as clear-cut as the Priceline case. But this decision is a good reminder for trademark owners to look beyond a domain name itself, to look at how the domain name is actually being used or not used, to determine whether a UDRP complaint might be a good way to tackle a cyber squatter masquerading as a disgruntled customer. If you want to learn more about the UDRP, please check out my masterclass on domain name disputes, as well as other resources on my GigaLaw website. And be sure to subscribe to the GigaLaw YouTube channel to be notified of future videos discussing other UDRP cases. Thanks for watching, and see you next time online.